Hey everybody, so Terraria Journey's End was announced on Monday, aka Terraria 1.4. So this video is about that news, including the release date and everything I could find about the update itself. Whether you know about it or not, I'm going to explain what it is, what it's not, a little bit of speculation about what it might mean for the future of Terraria, and in detail, I'll be covering the content itself. So what it is, formerly known as Terraria 1.3.6, it has officially become Terraria 1.4, including all the previous spoilers that were let out for Terraria 1.3.6 up to now. As the name implies, Terraria Journey's End, it is expected to be the final major update for Terraria, and it's expected to come late this year, towards the holidays, Q4, as they say, last 3 months of the year. So basically, it's intended to make the game feel complete. They've been reviewing the entire game to find things that can be improved, adding items, enemies, and features in areas where it felt like something might be missing, making improvements to existing things, and adding things that would be nice to have. Now, what it isn't, it is not a new game, it is not a sequel, rather it is the last major update for Terraria, the game that we all have. So it is a free update. It is not, as far as we know, focused on adding a lot of new bosses or major new events. It's more about smoothing out and fleshing out the content that is there. There is going to be a lot of new stuff, but it's just to make the game itself feel sort of more complete. And what it means, again, it is expected that this will be the last major update after 8 years of free updates for Terraria. I mean, it's a little disappointing, but it's exciting at the same time because it is supposed to be huge. So again, things that were previously teased for 1.3.6 are now part of the Journey's End update. As I myself had, openly wondered or speculated earlier, 1.3.6 has officially now become 1.4, aka Journey's End. There are suggestions that Relogic, the company that makes Terraria, will be starting work on their next major game or project. Among the many spoilers released, Senex, I never know how to pronounce that. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But she did mention that Terraria 2 will be the best game ever. I don't know whether to take that seriously or not. I think that was just like an offhand little comment. I think that might have been on Discord, but or maybe on Twitter. But they have also said that their next big title may not even be a Terraria game. So whether it means Terraria 2 is coming, whether it means they're working on some other game or some other project entirely, we don't really know. But there is a suggestion that they will be working on something. There's a suggestion there, at least. So at this point, I'm going to cover the spoilers, all the major new content revealed so far that I could find. I'll be talking about it. I'll be showing pictures and videos in the background while I talk about it. But there will be some minor stuff that I'm not going to include here. And also, I might have missed one or two things. This is going to be pretty thorough. But I'll be throwing some links into the description so that you can read all about it yourself as well. But I'm going to try to cover it all for you as quickly as I can here, while also as completely as I can. So, first of all, there are a few new mini biomes that are supposed to be coming, such as the Desert Oasis is one that they've shown. There will be many new critters, creatures like friendly critters that are not enemies, particularly in the ocean biome. Like they showed off some dolphins. There's some new ducks and a seagull and that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of new critters. There are new wind and possibly other weather effects. The wind effect has been shown off a lot, and it looks really cool. There are at least 15 kites to go with that wind, and there's sort of almost like a windy day. Like you have rain, and there's rainy days. Now there's going to be windy days, and there's new music to go with that, apparently. And apparently there may also be a new fog effect that was sort of hinted at in the trailer as well. One major new feature that's really like a quality of life thing for all of us Terrarians is block swap. That's been shown off a fair bit and talked about a fair bit. And that actually includes one thing that you might have missed. It includes the ability to swap floor and ceiling blocks without moving furniture, and it also includes the ability to swap chests without emptying them. So if you don't like the type of chest you use, maybe you used a wooden chest earlier and you want a fancier chest, you can just swap that in without actually emptying it, which is kind of cool. That's going to be nice, and including like angled blocks for roofs and that kind of stuff. You can just swap new blocks in without changing the way that the existing blocks were set up, shall we say. There was even a new creative mode mentioned, so there hasn't been a lot of talk about that, but it was one of the things that apparently they wanted to add to the game. Maybe not like a you get everything and just do whatever you want with like unlimited supplies creative mode. It sounded like there may be some necessity to earn some of that. But anyway, it was mentioned. Whether it's coming or not is a little unclear, and there's a bit of that. I'll try to tell you where things are more solid and where they're not. Apparently, there's a lot of new music. There's been a fair bit that's been teased so far, and to my ears at least, it sounded very chiptune-esque, shall we say. Another major new thing that has been shown just recently is a bestiary, which is basically almost like a built-in little guide to look up enemies. And you get more info, apparently. The bestiary for sure, but it was kind of mentioned, hinted at, that you will get more info in that bestiary as you defeat more of each enemy type. So maybe like the first one or the first few, you get the enemy into the bestiary, and then as you defeat more of them, you get more info, like how strong they are, how many health points, how much damage they do, and then eventually what the drops that you can get from them are. So it sounds like you'll have to keep defeating enemies to get more information about them in the bestiary. Also talked about was a new endgame sword that's supposed to be even better than the Meowmere or the Star Wrath, and possibly it may be a final upgrade for the Terrablade. So that seems fitting, and last update, major new item, finally a cool sword to upgrade from the iconic Terrablade that's been in the game so long. So that sounds very interesting. And again, on the spirit of kind of fleshing things out, there are apparently several new summoner weapons coming. Ones that have been teased so far include a vampire frog, a teleporting cat, and some glowing bats. So that'll be really nice to flesh out that summoner class, which I think most of us could probably agree has been a little bit weaker, or maybe just lacking progression through the entire game. So that will be very much welcome in my mind, at least. And apparently there's a new Blood Moon fishing event. So during the Blood Moon, you go fishing and some stuff happens. Apparently it includes some new enemies and a new Blood Moon fishing themed mini boss. So specifically, they've shown off the Goblin Shark, and a few other water-based Blood Moon enemies showed up in the bestiary in the trailer. Also, the mini boss was shown in the Journey's End trailer. Appears to be a blood nautilus, and in case you don't know, a nautilus is a type of sea creature that kind of looks like that boss. And there was also mention that the throwing class will be, instead of being expanded, it will actually be dismantled more or less and merged back into the ranged class that was mentioned. There are several new pets coming, possibly including a red panda, a star pet that's like Luma, I think it was, from the Mario series. We'll see if that stays in, copyright concerns and stuff. I get that as a YouTuber. And also apparently there's a squirrel-like pet and a harpy-like pet, and probably some others. There's also a new Void Vault and Void Bag. I don't know if they access the same inventory or not, but they're meant as player storage, kind of like a piggy bank or a safe. More specifically, more like a money trough where you can summon it wherever you are and access it wherever you are. So that looks really cool. And it appears to also include an ability to quickly suck up or grab neighboring items into that void storage. The trailer seemed to have something like that going on. Actually, I don't think it was the trailer. That was a previous spoiler. Also, there's an ability to sit in chairs, so you can actually sit down with your NPCs or with other players. Possibly also an ability to stand on pedestals. There was one little graphic that seemed to hint at that. There are emotes now for players. Looks like there's a little button to access those emotes. And there's new food options, like new types of food and even new graphics for existing food. And also there are eating animations that were shown. And also the ability to flip statues around horizontally. So statues, usually if they face one way or the other, you'll apparently now be able to flip them around, which will help you with decorating. There's also an ability to play golf in that trailer, so I don't know if you'll have to set that up yourself or how that's going to work exactly, but they showed that you can play golf, and there was also one little graphic that showed what looked like a golfer NPC to go with that, which would explain where you get those golf clubs and so on from. And potentially there was also a hint there may be other new NPCs, but we'll probably have to see about that. All in all, there's supposed to be over 800 new items coming, including scarab bombs have been shown, a handful of new minecarts. So up to now, there's like the default one you get when you get on the minecart track, and there's one you can craft that's just a little bit better, and there's the expert only one, which I just covered actually. Apparently there's a handful of new ones, and there's at least 2 or 3 that have been shown, maybe 4 actually. For instance, the mine carp, which looks like a fish, and there seemed to be one that looked like a steam engine and so on. There are also some improvements to existing items and weapons that are expected to be coming. A couple have been shown where the star cannon seems to have been overhauled, and also there's a Celebration Mark II, they're calling it. I don't know if that's an upgrade to the existing Celebration or like another one. In fact, that goes for both of those. Also, new mini-map borders were shown, 8 of them, I believe. There are some new world generation and character setup menus. So when you're first starting your game, there'll be a new little interface there for both the world generation and your character selection or setup. Also, apparently some possibly big changes to the way the world is actually generated. The way, for instance, ore might not just be sitting near the surface. Apparently there are some new mini biomes around that kind of thing, and just the way the biomes are generated and so on. We don't know a lot of details, but apparently there have been some potentially major changes to the world generation itself, how the world is actually created. There are also new splash screens and background images that have been shown off. So when you're starting the game, splash screens, background images. When you're just wandering around, different biomes, different background images. There are a whole series of those. Some new plants, including lily pads that'll be sitting on the water and cattails growing out of it, among others. Possibly some fish food. There was something, player was like throwing something into the water and it seemed to sit on near the water's surface. To my mind, that says fish food, but it could be something else. I don't know. They just showed the graphic. We'll find out. There's also new themed blocks, walls, and furniture for all those builders out there. That'll be huge. For instance, they've shown corruption themed stuff, spider themed stuff, and things themed around the celestial pillars. They've shown specifically the vortex pillar themed furniture and blocks and such, and what appears to be, to me, the solar themed stuff as well. So I would assume that means probably one for each of the 4 pillars, and there'll probably be some other stuff too that we won't know about yet. They've also shown a whole series of new paintings, particularly some themed around the desert biome, which seems to be getting a fair bit of attention. But yeah, who knows? They've shown some. Who knows what exactly is coming. And apparently there are some new vanity items as well. The mannequins and the stuff you put on them can now be dyed, apparently. So you can use your dyes and color the stuff that you put on your mannequins. So that'll be kind of cool. There's the ability to adjust your eyes and your skin color and so on at dressers. So that'll be interesting, along with, you could already change like your hairstyle and that kind of thing and some of your clothing colors. So the ability to sort of almost redo your character at those dressers. And many other minor cosmetic and gameplay changes just to make things look a little nicer, play a little nicer, and so on have been sort of hinted at. There's also some kind of unknown changes to the dungeon that are supposed to make it bigger, more interesting, I suppose. Again, really no details there, just changes to the dungeon. There's also mention of some new traps. It sounds like some new traps, certainly at least one new trap, but it sounds like a few probably. Also, a lawnmower was mentioned, and apparently if you cut the grass with your lawnmower, that will reduce the enemy spawns as long as the grass is cut. I don't know if it grows back or how that works exactly, but you can mow your lawn, sounds like. Possibly there may be a new pre-hard mode ranged armor set. In general, it sounds like there's not going to be a whole lot of like new armor and major gear that way, but there's been hinted at maybe a new pre-hard mode range set. Also, there was, I think it was in the trailer, little showing of some kind of desert themed set as well. What that is exactly, I don't know. Also, potentially some other weapons have been sort of shown off, hinted at in the graphics and the trailers and so on, including a new quad barrel shotgun. There was some kind of blood moon themed bow possibly, and possibly a few others. Mention of a new desert spear or something like that. Again, details are a little scant, but all in all, what they're trying to accomplish is, it was mentioned that what they're trying to do is make the world feel new in terms of like a whole bunch of new content and some new mechanics. More so than bosses and such, it's to make it feel sort of complete and to make it feel like an adventure again, and to make it do things for the builders out there and so on, and just make it a little more beautiful and that kind of thing. So, but it's not exclusively just that. The trailer also showed that there will be a new master level difficulty setting that is even harder than expert. And apparently some of the analysis of that trailer suggests that it will give the bosses even more health than they have in expert. It looks like about 30% more health, according to some quick calculations here. And also along with that kind of thing, there's a new boss health meter that seemed to be shown as well, which has been popular among modders to have a boss health meter. Now it looks like it'll be part of the game itself. There's also a mention of some possible difficulty-based tweaks to some of the existing bosses, whether that means some new attacks and stuff on expert or some new AI, or whether there'll be stuff specifically for that master level setting. We'll have to see, but it sounds like there may be some tweaks to make those bosses a little bit more of a challenge as well. And those are only the things they've shown so far. So there may be many more additions, changes, improvements, that kind of stuff, fixes, who knows. Basically, they're giving us, something to go on while they're working on this. And we know they tend to hold some things back as well. So there's probably going to be even more than all that. Again, they have said that it's coming late this year. So we may only have a few months to wait, hopefully, but as usual, they like to do what it'll be done when it's done, which I totally respect. I have a programming background myself, and seeing game releases over the years, I totally respect this done when it's done approach to things, because I think it's better to have something finished and complete and have it be everything that it's meant to be, rather than rush it out for some arbitrary deadline. So I totally agree with that. But as with all things with Terraria, it looks like it will be coming to PC first, and that's what they mean, I think, by this year. So for consoles and mobiles, I know you guys have been waiting for a lot for a long time. Mobile doesn't even have 1.3 yet, but it is planned. There has been suggestion that it will be coming for at least the new gen consoles. Unfortunately, old gen, sorry, you guys are kind of out of the picture now, but for the new gen consoles and mobile, eventually it will be coming to those as well. It looks like probably it'll be next year, 2020 or so for you guys, but you've got stuff coming still now. 1.3 still coming for mobile. Xbox One and PS4 just recently released 1.3.1, and there's all the other, like there's 1.3.2 and 3 and 4 and 5 that are still presumably they're working on some of that, it sounds like, for the new gen consoles now, and mobile will be getting that stuff as well, and Switch, I don't even know if it's just base 1.3 on release when that comes, and if they'll be releasing stuff after that. But the whole point of it, actually, as far as I can tell, of these, they've effectively been redoing the new gen console and mobile games almost entirely, and I think the whole point is so that they can update it more easily. So hopefully you won't have to wait so long for those updates. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, and I've covered what I set out to cover, so I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.